Alright, what's up y'all? Hope you're doing well. Back with another romance anime review. Today we're talking about a show named You and I Are Polar Opposites. It's a romance that came out in the early 2026 season, and legitimately, it is so amazing. One of my favorite romances as of recently, and maybe of all time, one of my favorites. And it was just so good, and I want to talk about it a lot here today. So you might notice it's a re-upload. I actually uploaded a video like this 2 weeks ago, but now I'm doing a different one. And that's because I kind of want to change a little bit of the way I do these style of videos, because this video I think was like over an hour long, the first time I did it, and I just feel like, I don't know, I want to go do a different approach with it. And I think this show is so great, it deserves, I want to talk about it kind of differently, and I want to do it a little bit different way, so that's why we're doing it here today. Like always, trying to do one video per week, upload, one full video per week. This romance anime season has looked so amazing so far, and I'm only on the surface right now, so we got to keep going, and that means more content coming for you guys. I want to do a couple more shorts as well. I feel like I haven't done a short in a long time, and I want to do some more shorts because that gets a lot of views, and it, plugs people into the main videos and channels. I want to do more of that, so keep on looking for that and keep on looking for more content. One full video per week is what we strive for here. But now let's get into the full review. So You and I Are Polar Opposites. This was a incredible show. Really, it was incredible. I was hooked so early on. I love a lot of things about this show. I loved the characters. I loved how real it felt. I love the way they went with this show. I feel like they pulled everything off really well. I loved the different styles of characters we see. I like the different relationships we see. I like the way we kind of divvy up who gets priority over who or whatever. Like everybody kind of got their own focus at one point during the show, so it's like I really enjoyed a lot of what happened with this show. And yeah, I'm so excited to talk about it, because yeah, this was incredible, honestly. And we're getting to season 2 very soon as well. I think this summer, so they probably already knew they have some gold they're sitting on, and they're already prepping and doing it, and I love that. So the first and main couple we're going to talk about is Suzuki and Tani. That's the main couple we have, and their relationship is just so good, really so good. Probably one of the better anime couples we've seen as of recently. Give you a little rundown, I guess, of the characters before we fully go into it. So Suzuki, we have our main girl. She's looks like a kind of like, Gyaru, that type of girl with the pink hair and, the style that she has. Makes a lot of friends with a lot of different people, likes talking to a lot of different people, has her own little friend group, always is kind of aware of the situation, always kind of trying to read the room, cares a lot about what other people think about her at first. And yeah, that type of girl. But we also see little tidbits of her potentially maybe putting on a persona a little bit with other people, in terms of like she doesn't have this big social battery and doesn't love talking to a bunch of people and reading the room and all that stuff. She more does that for her own sake, and we get little tidbits of that. But overall, she's really just a sweet girl at the end of the day too. And then we have Tani, our main guy, who's very, on the quieter side. He's not a shy little boy. He's just very stoic. He's very composed, very to himself. He does what he has to do, but he just doesn't wear his heart on his sleeve, and it's just this loud person. He's just kind of cool. He's like that kid in the class that's not the weird quiet kid, but he's just the quiet kid. We're just like, yeah, he's there. We don't bother him. He just kind of does what he has to do. He's not a weirdo or anything. He just doesn't really talk. So okay, we're not gonna force on anything. He's that type of dude. But also very, doesn't really know much about people, trying to still figure out, he gets thrown into this kind of relationship and trying to figure out how to deal with people and friends and emotions and relationships and stuff too. And honestly, what really hooked me on this show, and what will hook you on this show probably, is episode 1. This is probably one of the best episode 1s I feel like I've seen in a romance, because this episode 1 was actually like incredible. So we learned right away from the start that Suzuki has a crush on Tani. Suzuki, doing all this for him. Basically, he explains why she likes Tani. With his ability to he doesn't change who he is depending on the people around him. He kind of just does who he is. He says what he needs to say. And it's kind of just himself all the time, 100% of the time. And she kind of just envies that she wishes she can do that, and that's why she really respects and likes Tani a lot. And we see her kind of putting on, every time when she's talking to her friends, she kind of tries to involve Tani and they make her try to ask Tani questions, even though Tani's kind of like shuts her down a lot of time. But she says like, I can only do that because if I don't do that, I'm just gonna release all my feelings to you, and I don't want to do that. So the only way I can cover that up is by just being annoying and asking you questions. you know. And the one day after school, they're both kind of, I guess, leaving around the same time, and Suzuki actually makes the first move, saying, "Hey, like, do you want to walk part of the way home together? Because we live dang near, like, basically live a street away from each other. Let's just walk home together." And so while they're walking home, it's very awkward, which was so realistic, which is another reason why I love this show. That there's awkward points, which is like, that's life. There's a lot of awkward moments. I'm an awkward guy. A lot of people are awkward people. That's just what it is. So walking home together, there's just like awkward and kind of just like, I don't know what to do here. Until they accidentally bump hands while walking home. And Tani actually makes the first real aggressive move where he actually grabs and they hold hands for a couple minutes while walking home. And it's very out of nowhere. And it's kind of, it makes you really intrigued. You're kind of like, whoa.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
It's kind of like one of those things where you're like, wait a minute, I didn't expect that. And it shows you, again, Tani's not just a shy, oh my God, what do I do type of boy. When he needs to do something, he'll do it. And he's not afraid to pull off a move if he really needs to pull off a move. So Tani making that move kind of set the tone of like, hey, this isn't some regular romance. We're holding our hands in episode 1, guys. Then it gets a little more awkward. And one thing I really like too is that Suzuki kind of just forgets that whole Gyaru, I guess, persona, I feel like, right away, especially with her friends, because she's the only one that knows. None of her friends know that she has a crush on Tani until she says it one day when, after that walk home, there's some little, I guess, felt like a rift where Tani, I guess, took what Suzuki said in a different way of like, Tani thinks I kind of overstepped my boundaries, and she doesn't really like me like that. So he told her like, hey, just forget about everything that happened and walking home. And Suzuki's kind of mad because she's like, dang, I kind of made him feel this way. And she finally just tells her friends, hey, by the way, guys, I have a crush on him and I might have messed up, I don't know what to do. And they encourage her like, hey, go get him then and go talk to him about it. And while she's walking over there, she has this kind of realization of like, dang, it felt good to say what was on my mind and just kind of speak freely. And she basically does that, I feel like, throughout the entirety rest of the show, where she kind of changes and be like, you know what? I don't care about what people think about me anymore. I'm just going to do what I want to do. And even in episode 2, she says, like, I'm done with being kind of just like caring everybody thinks. I'm just going to do what I want to do. And I really, really like that. And then, Suzuki ends up finding Tani on the walk home and actually confesses to him right there. And by the end of episode 1, they are together. We get a full-on confession scene, hand-holding scene, saying to our friends, hey, we like each other. That usually takes 12 episodes in anime. Some animes do 12 episodes, don't even get to that point. We get there in episode 1. By the end, we're established, hey, we're together now. And it just came so out of nowhere. Also showing that Tani listens when Tani, like, trying to wipe her eye mascara or her eye with tears. And he's like, oh, wait, I don't want to mess up your mascara. Showing that he listens to their conversation. And it's just like, man, this is incredible already from episode 1. So, from the tone, from right there, episode 1 has set the tone for the entire show. Like, this is not your normal romance anime. This is something really, really special. And it's great to see the relationship grow, where there's still more awkwardness sometimes. They go out together, on dates or whatever, and a lot of times it's Suzuki kind of doing what she wants, and Tani just kind of ends up going along with it, which is talked about a lot in the show, where they kind of bring it up every time they go out, like, hey, I just did what I want to do, I'm sorry. But then Tani kind of being like, no, because in episode, 2, he says, like, I like the way you talk, I like when you talk, or no, it's in episode 1, I don't remember, but he says basically, like, I like hearing you talk, like, go ahead, I don't care, because I'm not a talkative person, so it kind of feels nice. And so Tani always is like, no, but like, as long as I'm with you, I don't really care what we do. We just, as long as we're together and we're having fun, that's all that really matters, which I feel a lot. I feel that way in my life a lot with my friends or whatever. It's like, I don't really care what we do. It's just, as long as we're going out, as long as we're all 4 of us having a good time, it's whatever. And that's what Tani kind of feels. And I really like that they put that in, because that's so real and realistic, especially for him. He's a guy that doesn't really go out. Obviously, he doesn't really have a lot of friends or whatever. So it makes sense that he would be the type of person who would just be like, yeah, I mean, we can do whatever. As long as I'm with you, it's cool. Also, seeing Tani, again, he makes moves. He can do the things he wants. Like, he's not he would, pat her on the head and say, hey, good job, or whatever. He would hug her, initiate a hug. He would hold her hand in public. Like, he has the ability to do these things. And it's not because he's shy, or he's just, when he really wants something, he can go for it and can do it if he really wants to. And I really like that about him. a lot because it kind of throws you off. Because at first you kind of think he's the regular shy romance anime boy where he's just like, I don't want to do anything out of ordinary, but he will just go for it, and I really like that. And it's fun seeing Suzuki kind of get flustered by that, where Tani will pull out a move and Suzuki gets super flustered and embarrassed by it, and it's kind of like, showing that she honestly inside is really just like an awkward, that type of person. Even though she puts on, I don't want to say puts on a persona because it feels like she's fake when it's not. It's just more of like the energy she gives off when you first see her and you think about her is like she's like, like a gal or whatever. But then you see really on the inside she's just awkward, and she also doesn't really know a lot of social situations, and she also is kind of trying to figure all of this out too, and maybe messes up sometimes, or thinks she messes up sometimes, and not afraid to go up and apologize. And again, with her kind of on this new thing of like, I'm just gonna say what I want, I don't care. It was really, really great. And she's really like we dive into some things that I don't even expect. Like literally there's one time during the culture festival where her ex shows up, and Tani's kind of jealous of it, but not because of her and her ex hanging out. It's more of just like a him inside doesn't really know how to handle the situation because he's never been in it before, and he hated that he got jealous of seeing those two together. And then Suzuki at first thinks Tani's mad at her in some way, but then she kind of has an epiphany about, like purity, because Tani's not my first, boyfriend or whatever. And she kind of has this epiphany on purity and goes on a little rambling there that actually made a lot of sense. I don't remember fully because I'm not very smart there, but you can go watch and figure that out for yourself, what she said. There's that. Again, there's her being like, I don't care anymore, I just want to say what's on my mind or whatever. Her talking about, because she more likes, when she talks about shows and TV or movies or whatever, she talks about she likes the bad boy kind of, that flirty type of guy, and Tani is just not that. And Tani's kind of like, I'm very different from what you think of as like cool or whatever. And she's like, well, you have a bunch of different types. I fell in love with you because you're cool in your own way, type of stuff, which is great. And yeah, and also seeing her kind of flip flopping between like when to be like all over him and when not to be, because she struggles with that a little bit too sometimes. Like they go to a firework festival and it's like, I don't want to be all over him, but I definitely could, and when I start I won't be able to stop, whatever. And then episode 12, literally the last episode, they're going on a date, and at first she is all cuddle up with him, whatever. Then she sees people they know, and she kind of just like steers clear, walking away or whatever. I also love that they have so much communication. They talk through everything. It feels like there's nothing that really goes unsaid, which is like the complete opposite of a lot of romances, because a big trope in anime in general is like the misunderstanding trope. In this show, we don't really get that, and if we do get it, it gets solved in like 2 minutes. Like we don't have a lot of misunderstandings and a lot of just like, oh, I guess we're not gonna talk for 2 weeks, like that typical thing. It's like this show, it feels like everybody, not just them two, but like they try to just let things happen. Like things actually happen. You know what I mean? Like there's sometimes in shows where things don't happen for a while, and you can go get a little bit bored of like, okay, like this is going on for a little while. Can we change things up and have something happen, have a conversation or something? This show is just pure, just like a lot of conversation, a lot of mess things. Like there's sometimes where again there's misunderstandings between the two. It gets kind of cleared up. Like again, like I talked about with the jealousy thing. Tiny was jealous at first. He kind of went his own separate way. They both thought about it. Came together on the roof, talked it out, where Suzuki was like, hey, let's just talk about everything, like if you're feeling really uncomfortable or whatever, talk to me. There's times where Tani's still trying to understand people, and sometimes it feels like he says something that gets perceived in a different tone, and he realizes, oh wait, that's not the tone I wanted to send it. Okay, and they kind of just like he goes up and he kind of reassures her like, hey, by the way, I meant this. Like there's no really like misunderstanding or like a big rift really in this relationship. Like it kind of just like goes and goes, and if there's a problem, we clear it up, we talk about it, we kind of just let things happen. We get awkward sometimes, but it's okay. Like it's like that, and I it's a breath of fresh air really. It's kind of just like, man, like conversation and hearing things talk and them interacting, because a big part of this of romance animes and stuff is them interacting with each other. That's how we get the cutest moments. And so they interact all the time and talk all the time, so we get a lot more cuter moments, and it makes you really fall for them more seeing all their interactions. And that's why they're one of the best couples, because like they talk and they just kind of let things play out, and things actually happen. The only thing is we do not get a kiss scene. We get a couple almost. We get one kiss scene, almost kiss scene, when they're going to the firework festival and they're on top of a roof looking at the fireworks, and she accidentally drops her phone. He picks it up, and their faces get really close to each other, and they almost kiss there. We get a moment while they're going on a class trip where Suzuki's kind of like, the other girls find out about her relationship with Tani, start asking like, hey, how far did you go yet, or whatever. And she kind of gets a little bit of her head, and like, dang, I want to be more like a woman or whatever. And so she tries to make a move, but not really. And Tani was going to end up making a move, but then she walked away out of embarrassment. And then the final episode, where after their date, they're alone at night, walking home, at a stop sign. It's like, damn, there's no one around here. And they go in for the kiss until they see a car go to the stop sign, so they stop, and it turns out it's Suzuki's parents, and they cock block them and drive them home. So that's the only thing, we don't get a kiss scene from them. That's unfortunate, but I wouldn't change anything about it though. I really wouldn't. I would. This was so great. I don't care. I really don't. It would have been cool, yeah. It would have added on top of it, but I don't think it takes away from anything, because these two are one of the best couples, honestly, and I love the way they work together. We have a second couple that enters the chat, and there might be an argument this is probably the most entertaining part of the show, is this couple of Yamada and Nishi. We first get introduced to them because Yamada is a part of Suzuki's friend group, and then Nishi works with Tani. Sometimes they have to do basically be the librarians, like after school with people going to the library or whatever, and so they kind of sit together there. And one day, Suzuki, Yamada, the whole friend group, goes over to the library where Tani's working, and they're kind of bothering him or whatever, and Nishi is kind of like overhearing their jokes, and Tani and Yamada say something, and it's funny, and Nishi starts laughing. Yamada noticed her right away, like, what the heck was that? Like, why is she laughing or whatever? And Nishi kind of gets thrown off, like, why is he looking at me so long? What's happening here? And we eventually learn later, because Nishi's in the second class next to them. Nishi's best friend, Honda, actually knows Yamada. They're like friends of some sort. And so Yamada starts coming over to that classroom specifically to talk to Nishi. And that's kind of how they form some sort of relationship. Talking about the characters, Yamada is kind of like the funny, kind of like comedic relief type character he's supposed to be. He's very kind of silly, goofy, always either making a joke or becoming the butt of the joke in a way. Very kind of like carefree, fun or whatever, but not a typical comedic relief, because typically comedic reliefs are like stupid and they kind of just like only tell jokes for no reason and kind of just like aloof, airheaded type. But not him. He's very different. He actually is like a very smart person, especially when it comes to people. He can read the room very well. He knows like when to make a joke, when not to make a joke, when things are serious, when things are not serious, what needs to be said, what doesn't need to be said, what kind of air needs to be kind of, given in the room. He notices other people, like the shyer people. He makes a point to go talk to them. When people are uncomfortable, he kind of like tries to make them feel better. Like, he's not just like a dumb, idiot, comedic relief. Like, no, he's comedic relief, but he also is like, he's funny, but he also is a very good person and a people person, actually really nice and understands a lot more than you would realize. And then we have Nishi, who is probably another very polar opposite of Yamada, which the show is you and I are polar opposites. Oh my god. Nishi is a super like literally overthinking personified. She overthinks everything. She's very shy around people. The funny, because she wants to be a part of the jokes. Like, she has a good sense of humor. She wants to laugh. She wants to be a part of the fun. But she also doesn't know how to talk to people. She has a lot of anxiety when talking to people. So she kind of can't. While also being someone that overthinks everything. Like, every little single thing she kind of overthinks. Like, oh god, what if this happens? And then what if I'm like this? I can't be like this and whatever. And so she has just a lot going on with her, where she's trying to kind of break out of her shell a little bit, but she just kind of really can't. And I honestly really related to her a lot in the show. She like is very close to me, because I kind of feel like that way a lot of times, where I feel like I want to be a little bit more, like out there, but then really inside I'm not. I'm a very introverted person, so it's kind of like, oh, I can't really do that. And she's kind of like that times 5, where it's like she wants to be able to have fun and be able to talk to people, but the real her inside just is like,
no, we can't do that.
And Yamada actually is the one that starts liking Nishi first, because what we learned about Yamada in the show is that Yamada is very, attracted to people that kind of like throw you off guard, where in the past the quiet girls that would laugh at his jokes, those be the one that he would interested in because he's like, oh dang, I didn't expect her to laugh, or I didn't expect her to be like that. That's intriguing to me. And Nishi is that where again, the library, Nishi laughed at one of his jokes and he noticed her right away. And then when even while he's in class talking to Honda, she laughs at one of his jokes, he notices again and notices a couple more times until now he's kind of like intrigued with her. And at first, maybe he doesn't really know in his mind that it's like I like her, but it's more of like a dang, there's something about her, huh? So he goes to now he goes to the next door class every day to talk to Honda, but really it's to talk to Nishi. But because he understands Nishi is not a very talkative person, he uses Honda kind of as like a something to. What am I trying to say? Honda's kind of like the middleman in this situation, where she's the bridge connecting them together because she won't talk, he wants to talk, so she's kind of got to play the middle and kind of be the third wheel to hope that those two eventually end up, talking to each other. And what really made this cool is Yamada, during the near end of summer break, Yamada wanted to ask for Nishi's, contact info to talk over the summer. And so at first he asked his friends, like, how should I do that? And they kind of gave all these other answers. But Yamada, to do that, he went over to Nishi and kind of just was straight up with it. Kind of said, hey, summer break is almost ending. I want to talk to you more. You want to be friends? And kneel down and give her, here's my number or whatever. Like, do you want to be friends? We can talk. Like, it's cool, whatever. And just him just going for it and shooting the shot was like awesome, amazing, because that's kind of who Yamada is. He's a very straightforward, like that was the best move for him, and honestly for her too, because again, she's very overthinking and stuff, so she probably wouldn't be able to pick up on if he had a whole plan to like get her number, that was like convoluted. She would not have picked up on it at all. So it's the best for him and for her for him to just go up and straight up ask like, hey, want to exchange numbers and let's talk and let's be friends. And she was like, okay, yeah, sure. I also love how Yamada kind of, because Yamada doesn't really push Nishi at all. And it's said a lot of times, like, Yamada is probably the perfect person for Nishi to try to break out of her shell, because Yamada is just like a very kind of like, it's cool, whatever, carefree type person. Whereas like he's not gonna be a stickler on like, what do you mean? What did you say? What is this? Like he even says multiple times like, you can make mistakes with me that you think you're making and like try to learn with me because I don't care about that stuff. I really don't. I'm just kind of here chilling, relaxing. And so it's like kind of like a perfect combination of like the extroverted guy that doesn't really care and the really introverted girl that cares too much. It's like the perfect yin and yang of like she thinks she's doing something wrong, whatever, but he'll be just like, no, you're okay. Like it's fine. It's whatever, man. Like, just chill out. And it's the perfect kind of mismatch between them. And then Nishi starts falling for Yamada, and it really gets confirmed when they're on the class trip. And Yamada asks her like, hey, you want to hang out, like us two together, whatever. And she ends up going, and Yamada sees her kind of hiding in the corner, and Yamada goes over and is like, hey, oh wait, I'm sorry, this is too public because we're in like the main lobby. All right, sorry, hey, let's go to another area so we can talk just us two. And he leads her over there, and she's kind of like, oh dang, that was actually really nice of him. And then he also asks like, hey, do you want to go, me and you together, just two of us on a date later after the field trip? Again, Yamada is so straight up whatever he wants with her, and I absolutely love that. And it's again the best for her probably too. And that's when Nishi really starts feeling like, oh dang, okay, so he actually does like me, and I actually really do like him. And then their date in the last episode was so cute, where Nishi again overthinking a lot of things. Yamada kind of did a lot of talking and going places, and eventually he realized, wait, I'm talking and doing all the things. What about you? And then Nishi starts kind of like grilling him, not really, but like playfully about some of the things he said. They even hold hands. Yamada does the Tani tactic where they're walking and he's like, hey, let's go over here, and he grabs her hand. They hold hands, and then they run away because they see Tani and Suzuki also on the date, and they're like, we don't want them to see us together, let's run. And while on the train, Yamada noticed like, hey, you never look me in the eyes. And it's just like this was an amazing couple. This is probably the most entertaining part of the show, seeing these two to get together. Just because the only thing we're missing about the Suzuki Tani thing is that we didn't see the beginning of it. We got put in right into the middle where Suzuki already had the feelings for Tani. This one we kind of saw the development from the ground level to up, 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 up. We root for these two characters where again we see a lot. Nishi gets a lot of like she basically feels like the second or third main character in the show or in general, because we get a lot of her, and so we finally get to see her perspective on a lot of things. It's not like it's just randomly all of a sudden we get Nishi and Yamada, and it's like, oh my god, they're together. Like, no, we see the rise of like Nishi, we see where her is, and then we see the Yamada how it gets introduced there, and then they kept see him get going and going and going and going. And again, the straightforwardness I feel like was big too, where we kind of just got right to it. Yamada was like, all right, we're getting right to it. We're not playing around. We're not just gonna, do little here, there, here, there. It's like, no, Yamada is asking for a number, then we're texting, then we're cool now, then we're going out here, and then we're having a date. It's like we kind of get it going and going. We don't just get little tidbits here, there, here, there, here, there, and it's like little step, little step, little step, little step. It's like no, here, 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 here. We see the buildup of it. And I think that's a big part of it. And like this is probably one of the best parts of the show is seeing these two get together. They're an amazing couple, and I love the contrast of it. And I think it's so incredible. It was like you're rooting for it. Every time you saw them on screen, you're like, oh yeah, here we go, Yamada and Nishi. Let's see what happens next. It's like it's that type of feeling. It was so great. And the final thing I want to talk about isn't actually a real couple, but it was very interesting to me. We have Azuma and Tyra, two people also a part of the film group that are very close. They're not a couple. They're not dating yet, at least. Who knows? I think they're a couple that's shipped a lot. But they were very interesting to me because these honestly are probably two of the more intriguing characters in this show. They are friends from middle school. They went to middle school together, hung out a little bit together, and now go to high school together. So they're the two people that probably know each other some of the best in the group. And it's just interesting to see these characters, what they go through inside, and then their interactions with each other. It's very interesting, and it's a really like background plot that doesn't show up a lot. But when it does show up, you're kind of like really invested because like what's gonna happen? What's next with these people? Tyra is someone that it very much seems like he rebranded himself in high school, where in middle school probably didn't really have the best time. I think he probably was like bullied or a little bit of an outcast of some sort. He went to high school and kind of became a little bit more, I don't want to say cooler, but just kind of like, new group of friends, new people, But he's also someone that kind of overthinks a lot of things. He thinks a lot about a lot of different stuff, he thinks a lot about what other people have to say. He thinks a lot about, I guess society. Like he'd be talking about like popularity and the hierarchy of dating or whatever, and like every situation that comes across, he kind of thinks of it in like, not all the time he thinks of it in the worst way, but there's a lot of times where he kind of gets a little bit like it goes down a bad path with him, and he just overthinks a lot and has a lot of things. Doesn't have a lot of things to say. He just thinks about a lot of situations. He's like, dang, this is happening. Why is this happening? Isn't this really how it's supposed to go? I don't know how it's supposed to go. I'm just judging based off, everybody else, because I don't really have a compass to judge this off. But because other people, I guess this is cool now, and maybe it's cool, like whatever. He also has an interesting relationship with Tani, too, where Tani just gets accepted into the group because he starts dating Suzuki, and he's kind of like, so we're just gonna allow this? Not in a bully way, but more just like a really? That can happen? Where like Tani was just this old outcast that no one really cared about, and all of a sudden he's our friend. If like that's cool, kind of maybe more insinuating that back in his past that did happen for him, and so it's like, dang, that can really happen. And he actually goes closer to Tani, where like I feel like he's like sees himself in Tani a lot, and kind of, I don't want to say wants to be in his shoes, but kind of sees that and kind of is like, dang, like I feel like a attachment to him. So like they kind of stick together a lot of times. And then you have Azuma. Azuma is kind of another kind of opposite of Tyra, where she's kind of a very carefree person. She knows a lot of people, has a lot of different relationships, has been around a lot of different people before, kind of just doesn't really have too many strong opinions about everything. It's kind of just like, yeah, cool, whatever. We do what we do, and I do what I do, and we just kind of go like that. Very cool. But she's also had some stuff too past about dating. Hasn't had the best, roster of people that she's dated before. Let's I guess you could like insinuating that she kind of lets people walk all over her in a sense, where like she even says at one point she's like, once I start liking somebody, like as a person, I can't really start hating them either. You know, like and that can lead to some bad situations. And she even thinks like maybe I don't really care about myself as much as I should or whatever. And so like she has her own little things going on. So both of these characters have their own kind of thing going on in their head, which is why a lot of people like see like these two could kind of work together. I think their friendship is really funny too, where Ozma kind of rags on Tyra a little bit. Tyra, because he makes a lot of expressions and kind of gets defensive a lot over things. Obviously, it makes it more funny that they kind of, I don't want to say attack him, because it's not like they're actually bullying him, but more like, oh, it's just Tyra, it's whatever, like that type of thing. But what really stood out to me is near the last couple episodes, the whole group goes out to bowling one day, and Tyra sees some old middle school people from there, and he kind of gets worried. He's like, oh my god, they're gonna see me and they're gonna talk to me, and I don't want to talk to them, I don't want to see this, and I'm trying to escape this or whatever. And Ozma kind of sees him kind of going crazy, thinking in the corner, and Ozma goes up to him and sits next to him and is like, hey, like, they're not gonna talk to you, they don't really care, don't worry about them, just have a good time with us. Kind of like unprompted. And I really love that a lot, honestly. I think about that scene a lot, because I'm just like, that was a really good friend move right there, where she kind of saw him going through something and connected the dots and kind of went up to him and kind of gave him a little bit of like a reassurance of like, hey, don't worry about that doesn't matter right now, just chill with us, you're good. And then later, because they take the same train together, because they live close to each other, where Ozma starts going on about her relationships with the guys. He's like, yeah, I think one guy, she likes the other friend, so I get him, and the other guy talk a little bit, and she's like, the one voice texting now, she's like, I feel like this whole crazy group, and Tyra's just sitting there like, what? And he kind of like doesn't, not go off on Ozma, that's a bit harsh, but he kind of has like a strong opinion. He's like, hey, like, that's not okay. Like, you shouldn't do that. You should be angry. You should not be okay with the situation, because they're just really like hurting you and making you look crazy and kind of, walking over you. You shouldn't have that. You should stand up for yourself and not be a part of that. Kind of like really good advice, honestly, that he's given. And he's the one that makes her think about it, where she doesn't ride home and she's like, dang, I guess I do that, huh? Maybe I guess I don't care about, like, I don't take care of myself in relationships as much as I should be. And Tyra kind of gives her a little bit of that motivation. And then we see also Ozma gets really close to Tyra in terms of like, being more friendly with him or whatever. And near one of the end of episodes, Tyra says to her one day, she's like, hey, you feel a lot more classmate like now, like closer to me. And she's like, well, we're friends though, right? Like, what do you mean by that? And Tyra kind of notices that Ozma has kind of changed a little bit from, I guess, what she was in high school to where now she's a lot more cooler, a lot more carefree. She doesn't really care much anymore. And Tyra also, interesting thing is, he kind of, there's sometimes, especially near the late end of episodes, where he starts to try to open up a little bit more, but he kind of can't when he sees Ozma there, because Ozma's kind of like a representation of his old self. Like every time he sees her, he thinks about his old self, and like one wrong thing, and all of a sudden, I'm back to my old self again. And so he doesn't want that. But I think Ozma wants him to open up a little bit more too, where it's like, hey, like, chill out and just be cool. So it's like, again, another opposite, where Ozma's kind of like the cool one that's just like, hey man, don't worry about that too much. And Tyra's like opposite, like, I have to worry about everything, because I don't know what, I don't know, I just gotta worry about so many things, and I don't want to be, kind of very like closed off and kind of just very like worried about everything, where Ozma's just kind of like cool, chilling, laid back. So it's another opposite that I think really makes sense. And I think the relationship was really nice. Again, we don't get to see it a crazy amount of time. When we do, I feel like we're always building a little bit off the relationship, and just, I think their friendship is really, really cool. And if they do get together eventually, that'd be awesome. Overall, at the end of the day, this was an incredible show. One of my favorites I've seen as recently. Where it goes on my all-time list, probably pretty high, because I really enjoyed a lot of it. I enjoyed all the relationships, all the characters, again, the conversations, how different it felt than a bunch of, it wasn't just like a generic romance anime that we just put on. It felt so different and unique and had its own little charms to it that I really, really enjoyed. I would recommend it to everybody, even if you're not a romance anime person. Like, just a good show in general that will make you smile and make you, happy. That's what the show is. So, if I can give it 3 thumbs up, I would. This was awesome, amazing show. Yeah, that's all I got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I redid this video. I might redo my other video of Timon's B-side too, maybe. I don't know if I can find time for it. But again, be on the lookout for more content coming soon. A lot of romances dropping. We look like we're eating good right now, so we're going to keep it going. Shorts coming back again too, to keep on the lookout for that. But yeah, if you did like this video, hit the like button. If you did enjoy it, I'd really like that a lot. Also leave a comment down below, whether about the show, about whatever. I guess it just helps out the algorithm. So liking and commenting would mean a lot to me. And if you do like the content, hit subscribe. If you want to keep up with romance anime, like hearing about romance anime, like hearing me talk about romance anime, or just want to support the channel, hit subscribe would mean a lot to me. Also, go check out my main channel, Everyday Hoops, linked in the description below. We talk about basketball over there, literally the exact opposite of what we do over here. So if you like basketball, know someone likes basketball, let them know about the channel down below. We're going crazy over there. A lot of content dropping over there too, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.